Welcome to Get Busy Livin with Clark Bartram. I have a great show for you today, as always. But first, I have two new sponsors that I'm very excited to introduce you to because I know they will absolutely change your life. The first one is Vitos Lifestyle. So Vitos Lifestyle is a company that I've been engaged with for years that makes fitness products that you can carry with you to the gym, bands and slam balls and all sorts of great accessories that are convenient, affordable, and something that I think everybody needs in their home. So make sure to go to vitoslifestyle.com, check it out today, and use the code Clark to get a nice discount. In addition to that, I have another company, Training Mask. Training Mask is a product that people used to make fun of until we went through this whole thing that we went through in the world. Now people are showing up at the gym with masks on. Training Mask was doing that way before anybody was doing that. They're the leader in the industry of breathing through resistance. We work our muscles on the outside. We need to work our breathing muscles too. So Training Mask is exactly that. When you breathe through resistance, your lungs get stronger, your diaphragm gets stronger, and you just get stronger overall. So head over to trainingmask.com and once again, use Clark as a discount, and we're going to send you some free gifts because I promise you, both of these companies are items that you need to have in your gym bag. So go check them out. Now, I'm really excited to bring this guest on today because she and I have had a relationship for a long time in this industry. And I'm going to tell you something about Natalie Jill Holland. She came to me years ago. I had a company called FMI, and it was teaching fitness models how to monetize themselves, how to make a brand, how to do something in the industry unique and special. And I just told her a couple things, and this woman has blown past me with lightning speed. She is a marketing genius. She is helping women all around the world go through midlife without having a crisis and really changing the game as it relates to marketing online and bringing value to people. And I'm excited for our conversation today. Natalie Jill Holland, welcome to Get Busy Livin. I'm so excited to have you
Thanks,
here.
Clark. Love talking with you.
Yeah, so we had fun today. You and I are working on a project together. So this is so cool that we get to work together.
Yes,
right?
Finally, because we've done it unofficially, but now we actually are doing something together, like a real collab, not just on a whim. We want to create something funny.
Right. So we first met, when was FMI? I don't even remember what year it was.
Oh my gosh, it had to have been probably a decade ago.
Man.
It was a while back, and it was such a wild thing because it was just a random thing I signed up for. I don't even know why. I was getting myself fit after becoming a new single mom and just having a baby years ago. And I had set a goal for myself to be a fitness model. It was just a random goal for myself, not necessarily to turn it into a living. I thought, let me do it. And I remember my friends laughed at me at the time. I'm 51 now. At the time I was in my late 30s, early 40s. They're like, what? No one wants a end of 30s, 40-year-old fitness model. But I made it this goal for myself. And I learned somehow about Fitness Model International, which is the thing that you were doing at the time. I convinced a friend to do it with me. And that was when I first learned about marketing and pitching yourself and all of that. So yes, thank you. You're the one that got me to start with all of that.
Well, you've done a fantastic job since, because like I said, you've blown past me. You've become a very skilled marketer. You're a student. You're not afraid to spend money on getting coaches. You're not afraid to go learn and understand. But let's go back in time. You were in the corporate world. You had a safe job. You were making money. Like, why? Most people would never walk away from the safety that you had in life.
So sales, I was born knowing how to sell. I love selling. I don't think of it as a sleazy business. When people are like, I don't want to sell, I hate selling. I love sales. To me, sales is problem solving. And sales and enrollment can be used interchangeably. And I would say that that is the number one skill that most people need to learn in life. If you think about it, if you master enrollment, you can really accomplish anything you set out to. You need enrollment for your kids. You need enrollment for your spouse. You need enrollment to make a living. You need enrollment for everything.
Describe enrollment.
Enrollment is getting people to see a bigger possibility for themselves, a solution for something. And that's essentially what a good salesperson does, is they're great at enrolling and helping people see a better possibility for themselves. It might be your product or your service, but that's what enrollment is. If you think about when you sell a program or you sell something, It's not you sharing a million features and benefits and someone going, yes, I'm in. It's really you leading them down the path where they see something as a solution for themselves. That's what that is. So in corporate America, I was in sales, and then I was a sales director. I was a sales trainer. That was just in my blood. It's what I did. It's what I loved. And then back in 2007, my whole world fell apart. You know, as we're recording this, my daughter is now almost 16 sitting here. But at the time,
fabulous human being, by the way.
She is. Thank you. But at the time, you know, I was a new single mom. I had just had her. I had gained 60 pounds, and I'm 5'2". So 60 pounds is a lot on a pregnant woman. It was not just from hormones. It was from eating McDonald's French fries and hot fudge sundaes. But I had gained a lot of weight. It was back in 2007 when the housing market had crashed, the stock market had crashed, and I personally was hitting my own rock bottom. My body had changed. I was going through a divorce. I was navigating being a new mom. I was depressed. I was definitely depressed. And I was also losing my home. And the only thing I had working for me, besides having a daughter, which was definitely a great blessing for me, but it was that I had a corporate job. The problem was I had to travel full time with that. And that wasn't going to work as a single mom. So I took a voluntary job demotion, and I hated it. I hated what I was doing then. I wasn't leading now. I was a sales manager, and I didn't love it. So it was in this weird time of taking the demotion and being stuck in my body and stuck in finances and all of the things that I was walking one day. And I remember it so clearly, Clark. I was walking, and I passed by one of those windows that has the mirror reflection looking back at you. I'll never forget, I had my 2 white labs, and I had my daughter in the stroller. I saw this reflection, and I just stopped, and I looked at myself. And I thought, wow, like, is this where we end up? Like, is this where we end up? Because I didn't recognize myself in that reflection. I just saw this overweight, depressed, sad-looking person who was in her 30s. And I thought, is this where we end up? And it was in that moment with myself that I said, you know what? I'm deciding for something else. I'm making a decision for something else. And I remembered that in sales training, I always taught my sales reps and people that were learning to sell, what are you deciding? Are you deciding for a bigger possibility? And I thought, I'm not doing that for myself right now. So what am I deciding? Because I still believe to this day, you're either deciding to stay stuck where you are, or you're deciding to learn and evolve and have a better future. So I decided right then and there that no, you know what? I'm turning all this around. I decided I'm going to get super fit, fitter than I've ever been. I decided I'm going to get successful. I'm going to build something on my own. I just made all these decisions. And then I turned around, I started walking home. And then what happened was exactly what normally happens in everyday life. You have that voice that pops up. You can't do that. Who are you? You're too old.
That damn
It's
voice.
Too late. That damn voice, right? So this voice is popping up. And as it's popping up, every step I took, I thought, but what if that's wrong? But what if that's wrong? So I got home and I turned on the TV and I turned on Oprah. Remember Oprah back in the days? Oprah.
I love Oprah, man. I'm going to admit it right now.
But I turned on Oprah, and she happened to have an episode. I believe Lisa Nichols was on there speaking with her. And they were talking about vision and possibility. Exactly what I've been thinking about. So that night, I made a vision board. I grabbed a bunch of magazines. Remember those? We were and I tore out fit women. I tore out, successful women. I just tore out anything that made me feel better. That is like, oh, wow, that's a possibility. And I put it on this board. And I started staring at it. And I would say every day, Natalie, if you're the girl living on that board, what actions would you take today? What actions? And it started that simple, Clark. I said, like, what if I was the girl on the board with a 6-pack, what would I eat? It wasn't McDonald's. If I was the successful, happy girl, would I be laying in bed till 12? Nope. If I was her, what would I be eating? What would I be doing? Who would I be hanging around? And that's how everything started to shift.
Yeah, I love that framing, because that's what we need to do. Whatever we want in life, like the conversation we had on the way over here, right? Like me struggling in my business, you instantly challenged me in what I thought of. And it's interesting that you're saying this is, what would a person who has a X amount a year business be doing right now? Would he be talking like I'm talking?
Yes.
Would he be thinking like I'm thinking? No.
Got it. That's exactly right. And I interrupt people all the time on this. And I have to interrupt myself on it too, because I go into comparison mode and think like, well, like I think of a billionaire, and I instantly will go to that story of, well, I'll never be a billionaire. Well, why not? Like there's people that became billionaires after 60. There's definitely that's happened. So why not? But the more you believe something's not possible, if you fight for your limiting belief, you get to keep it.
Yeah. Oh, say that again.
If you fight for your limiting belief, or I call it false assumed truth, you get to keep it.
That is huge. Men, if you are watching this or listening to it right now, I want you to go get your wife and make sure that she taps into this, because this is what Natalie Jill does. She is a coach for women and helps them get beyond these limiting beliefs in whatever area they're struggling in. Because you're not just like a health coach, you're a sales coach.
So, when I looked at my transformation and I made that a goal to get on magazine covers, and I did, by the way, I had 14 magazine covers in my 40s, which is like unheard of. Like I started in my 40s and my last one, I think I was 49. So that was like, instantly what people wanted was, how do you get abs? Like that was the question. That's not my genius. Like, sure, I can teach you how to get abs. That's where people came to me. That's also sales. You give people what they want, and then you meet them with what they want, and then you give them what they need. So really, even with my nutrition and fat loss and workouts, and I've got some of the best programs out there and books. However, it's mindset that's a caveat there. That mindset is that secret weapon that changed everything for people.
Yeah, people, mindset is not a real marketable thing, right?
Right. That's why you tell them, let me get you abs.
Yeah, sell them what they want and give them what they need.
7 pounds off this week. Like give them all that. But the secret is it's your decision. It's your decision. Because if I ever had a client or if anyone ever say to me all the reasons why they can't do something, I say, you're right. You can't. If that's what you believe, you're right. I'm not going to challenge you on your belief, because that's a losing battle. Right. However, you believe something's actually really possible. You believe wholeheartedly that it's happening. You decide, you make a declaration that this is the thing that's going to happen. I'm going to be your biggest backer and supporter, because I know once you decide it's happening.
Because you did it yourself.
Everyone does it once they decide.
Right. Decide, commit, and resolve.
That's so good.
If you make a decision and you commit to the process and you resolve to the fact that you're going to do it no matter what.
That's right.
And this sounds so cliche, right? But nearly anything is possible.
No, and I swear God has blessed me with setbacks, because I every time I speak into this, if I get a setback, I go to the doomsday conversation like, oh, maybe I'm wrong. And then I break through it and I go, nope, that's why that happened to me. I remember it was 2 years ago. I had a multiple amount of injuries all in the same 2 years. I ruptured a disc in my back. I tore the bicep off my bone.
I saw the scars.
I broke my foot. All in the same 2 years. I had multiple surgeries. Craziness happened. And every time it happened, I was like, well, maybe I'm wrong. maybe that's it. Maybe this is what happens. But I always find that workaround, just like I think back, I have an autoimmune. I'm celiac. I've been celiac for 20 years. It's no big deal to me. I learned I was celiac. I don't have gluten. Big deal. Makes me healthier. I can't tell you how many messages we get through my website that say, oh my gosh, I just found out I'm celiac. My life is over. Like, what is the lens that we're looking at things through? Like, I never once thought this sucks. I thought, okay, there's a solution. I don't eat gluten. Who cares? I said to you earlier, I tore my bicep. I lost my supination. Big deal. I can't do a chin up anymore. I can do a pull up. I just turned my wrist the other way. Who cares?
I absolutely love your attitude, and more people need to listen to you, because just listening and being in the energy, it is contagious. It makes you want to get out and do it. And like, I'm a motivated guy. Yeah. I don't really need to be around people to motivate me.
You are.
But when you are, that's the problem I think some of us has. But let me say this. Imagine the amount of women now that are cutting you out of a magazine and putting you on their vision board.
Yeah, that's always wild to me. Like, and I've had some clients that are like, oh, I have you on my vision board, which is so cool. And by the way, your goals change. I'm not saying I don't have a six pack now. I mean, in the right lighting, I might. Like, it's like, but that's not my decision right now. Like, I'm very fit. I'm very healthy. I'm strong. I focus on that. And yeah, I dial it in before I have a shoot? Yes, I do. But like, to me, I'm not walking around with an 8-pack as my goal. If that's your goal, then decide you want it. My goal, it happens to be a little bit different. And just a little side note on that. The reason I gave up the 6-pack, and this is also comes down to decision, is with my disc rupture, my back was hurting all the time. I had no disc in my lower back anymore. And it was a mess. And I learned that by developing your glutes, you would take the pressure off your lower back. Because I always heard develop your core. Great. I had an 8-pack. My back still was killing me all the time. But I learned that if you develop your glutes and you change how you're standing and all that, then you literally take your L5-S1 out of the equation. So I chose to develop heavy, like strong glutes. And when you do that, something's got to give. So I made a decision to develop glutes and not have as strong of a 6-pack. It's like, because like if you think about when you walk, you can either be engaging your core or you can engage your glutes. It's like, there's like this fine balance between it. But it was a decision. So anyone listening to this, whether we're talking about workouts or your business or your family or your life, what are you deciding? What are you deciding? Stop comparing to other people and just make a decision for what it is that you want.
Yeah, people need to understand the importance of the glutes, not for the reasons that a lot of women are going in just to get a big ass.
Mine was literally functional.
And it's one of the most important postural muscles and one of the muscles that people lose as they age. So we're going to segue into the aging process here in a minute. When you start losing your butt, that's when your posture goes. That's when your hips go. That's when your hips break.
And when you feel the lower back pain.
Yes.
Most lower back pain, everybody has degeneration in their lower back. Everyone has degeneration in their lower back. If we do an MRI on anyone in their 50s, they're going to have degeneration. Some people feel it, some people don't. That's the missing link. If you do not develop your glutes and you have the grandpa butt, the flat butt syndrome, you're going to feel your back worse. It's inevitable. I sometimes I cringe when I see trainers or people in therapy, physical therapy, and they're having people do exercises, and I'm looking and the client, the patient has a flat butt, and I'm thinking they're missing it if they're not training that area, because and by training that area, you are going to give up some other things, because it's a very fine balance between abs and glutes, like just everything about it. Like I think of how I used to stand with that ribs down and my butt in to grit the abs. Now it's like the opposite, but it's everything in our body, everything in our life can be fixed with decision and then studying and learning.
That it's so basic when it comes down to getting better, right? Becoming healthier. But we overcomplicate it. One of the reasons we overcomplicate it is because we jump on the internet, we start looking at all this stuff.
It's true.
And we could scroll through Instagram or TikTok or any of these social media platforms, see somebody like you that's really convincing, that says, okay, you need to do this, that, and the other thing, and then scroll and see the next person that says the complete opposite.
Exactly right. It's so confusing. And the bottom line is anything works. Honestly, there's 100 diets that work. Do I think my way is the best? Do you think your way is the best? Sure. But it's really what someone decides. It's truly what someone decides and how committed they are.
Right. So we got you up there on the screen right now. That's your website. Mm-hmm. What can people find at your website? Do you have like a glute program that people can get?
I actually have two websites. So you've got my Natalie Jill, which is my fitness website. I've got all kinds of fitness programs and types of things on there. I also have a website called Midlife Conversations, and that links to my podcast and more midlife specific topics. On my fitness stuff, the best thing you could do, honestly, is get the best of my stuff, is just go to NJ, I think it's just njbundle.com. It's just like all of my fitness programs bundled together. I don't actively create new fitness programs at one point right now. And you know why? Because it's all been said. I've said it all. I've got 19 programs out there. I've said it all. I've recorded it all. I've done it all. It's not changed. The ab exercise I taught, 5 years ago is the same as what I would teach you right now. So those are all there. My focus these days is more on midlife topic specific, which is why I started the podcast and the show Midlife Conversations.
So let's talk about that, because that's where my demographic is at. I coach men over 50, as you know. We're working on a project together that's going to be targeting that audience. So what have you found has been the most common theme when you're talking to women? You might have someone call into your podcast, or
it's not that we seem to be unique. You, me, my friends here in San Diego is recording it, and I don't want it to be that way. Like I have women all the time say, well, if I lived where you did, or if I was friends, and it's like, well, first of all, I chose to move my butt to San Diego several years ago. I left everything and moved here. It has nothing to do with that. I bring the party wherever I go. I mean, I do. And I attract those people. There are people that are thriving in midlife. You just have to find them and not be going down these Debbie Downer roads of, woe is me, this sucks. I have friends of all ages, Clark. I have friends that are 80. I have friends that are 20. I have friends of all ages. I don't look at things that way. I like to be around younger people. I like to be around older people. What I don't like to be around is people that are complacent and complaining and think like everything's downhill and over. That I don't like. That energy is also contagious, and it doesn't serve any of us well. And I'll tell you, listening, if you feel like you don't have the support system, then find it free online. Listen to podcasts, read books, join groups, follow social media accounts, get it. I listen to podcasts every day, or audiobooks. It's like the person's right there walking with me. You can learn from the best people, but surround yourself with what you want to become, not with people that validate your problems and excuses.
Wow. I mean, there's so much to unpack here. That is what most people do. They're around people that validate their excuses.
It's miserable.
Misery loves company.
If I said to you earlier, we were filming and I shared about my bicep, I made a comment about something and I don't know what I said. But if you had said, wow, that sucks. Like we would have just gone down a whole different path, right? It's just like, we just brushed it off. There's no reason to go down these rabbit holes on what sucks. Like let's focus on what's great, what works, what's amazing, what we want, what you can create. Because there's a lot there too.
Yeah. Penelope noticed it. She's like, yeah, he just like, okay, let's move on.
It's good.
Right. Let's not talk about this.
No, I don't want to talk about doomsday.
Yeah. I mean, you recognize it. We talked about it, but we moved on and we were productive.
Yeah. I don't want to
positive.
hear that sucks. That's terrible. That's terrible. I don't want to hear it. It doesn't help me.
Well, because like you said, it was almost a blessing in your life because it helped you realize something different, right?
Yes.
You could look at it a different way if you wanted to, but you chose not to.
I have a million complaints I can bring up. And I can think of probably 10 things I said today, just about the cold plunge. I said, oh, I've got the nerve thing. They're like mentions, they're glimpses, they're not a focus.
Right.
So those things are all part of our lives. I'm not saying everyone's life is perfect or it should be. It's just, what are you giving energy to? Are they things that just happen and you move on and focus on what you want to create? Or are they dragging you down and making you miserable?
Yeah. So what was one of the biggest things you learned when you were interviewing someone on Midlife Conversations? Like what was your aha moment, speaking of Oprah?
Gosh, my aha moment interviewing people is that I've been right about mindset. This is good because I've been always saying it, but the commonality on people thriving is belief and mindset. It doesn't change. And it's funny because I know that's not glamorous and people don't want to hear about mindset, but that's where it's at. Like you ask anyone successful at anything, it's their belief set. So why do we brush it off? Like, let's not brush it off. Let's focus on it. That is an aha moment for me.
Yeah, I love to hear you say that because I've been having this battle with marketers my whole career because I've always been a believer in mindset. Yeah. When I went to the Marine Corps at age 17, the only reason I made it through boot camp is because I set my mind to I'm going to be the best guy here. I'm going to rise above. Right. I'm going to be the cream of the crop. And I came out having this understanding that mindset was vital, even if it wasn't at the top of my thought list, like as to how I'm going to operate my life. But when I started getting in this business, people would tell me, oh, you can't lead with mindset. No one wants to hear it. Mindset's not sellable.
That's why I changed it to deciding. I said I lead with deciding because that's definitive. So decide.
So you have your mantra, your 3 words.
Decide, vision, action. Make a decision on everything. Like whenever someone calls me the problem, I'm like, what's your decision? What are you deciding? What are you wanting to, because this is during the problem, you can decide something new. So what are you deciding? That's number 1, because decision is also intention, right? So if you think about, just take it anywhere. You're having an argument with your spouse and you're complaining about your spouse to somebody. Well, what's your decision or intention? Is your decision that you want to work this out and have a happy marriage? Or is your decision that you're done with your marriage? What's your decision? Or is your decision you just want to complain about your spouse and stay married? What is that? And that usually stops people in their tracks to go, yeah, you're right. What is my decision and what's my intention? Because that's how you're going to create the reality there. Same thing, you show up to your workout and you're tired and you're is that your decision? You want to show up and have a lazy half-ass workout? Or are you deciding, no, I'm here for 45 minutes or I'm here for an hour, is game on. I'm getting my abs back. I'm doing what's your decision there? So that's number 1. 2 is vision. Always know where you're headed. Vision is not your circumstance. Vision is what you want to create if all things are possible. So a vision, can be anything. A vision is, I'm 60 and I'm going to make this my best financial year ever. Decision is, I'm about to step into my most powerful working years. Decision is, I'm about to get in my best possible shape, or I'm becoming the type of person who. What is your vision? Focus on that. And then only after you're super clear on decision and vision should you be taking actions. Because just putting one foot in front of the other might get you there, but it might get you there with a bad attitude. But if you get clear on your decision and vision, your actions will take off.
Yeah, that's vital. Decision, vision, and action. Think about that while we take a little break. One of the number 1 things that I do to stay in shape year round is have my meals prepped all the time. And it's not my wife prepping them. It's not me prepping them. It's Icon Meals doing the prepping for me. They're professionals. This is what they do for a job. And let me tell you, with the discount code Clark and the free shipping that you'll get, you probably can't make meals for the same amount of money that you will invest getting meals from Icon Meals. So here's what I want you to do. If you're interested on any level on being prepared all the time and having nutrition dialed in, head over to iconmeals.com right now, use the promo code Clark and save and see how it improves your life like it's improved mine and so many others. So head on over to iconmeals.com right now. So did you think about that? Have you decided? Have you created a vision? And will you take action? Those are the questions that we want to know right now, because that's what life's all about. I'm a person of action. I sometimes I do. I'll be honest. Sometimes I move too fast without the right action plan, if you will.
The right anchors. Yeah, and that's fine. That's fine too. I take actions too. But here's the cool thing about decision and vision. It doesn't have to be for everything you do in a day. If you spend some time every morning and every night just thinking about that for your life, then it's like ingrained in it. And then all your actions, your ideas, your intentions layer on top of that. Once you're clear on that stuff also, like especially your vision, it gets real easy to figure out what I'm saying yes or what I'm saying no to. Because if it fits in your vision, it's a yes. If it doesn't, it's a no.
Yeah. So what have you said yes to lately that you're excited about in your career? Because you do so much.
Yeah. So, well, my collab with you that we're working on, our Unfair Advantage collab, that's something I definitely fit into my vision. I was very clear that I was wrapping up my own fat loss programs. I didn't even know why. I just knew it wasn't in my vision to keep doing it. I knew that I had already created them. They're good. They're amazing. They're still there. I just decided I wasn't going to want to lead those programs anymore. And my vision was I was going to find some other companies and collabs that would take that to a next level, the brand that I already built. And so that's an example of something that fit right into my vision. Same thing with one of my visions was that I wanted to teach people at a higher level sales and messaging, something that comes really naturally to me. And because I was super clear on that vision and who I'd be working with and types of clients I would attract, I've actually attracted a lot of those right clients easily. Because when you're clear on it, when you're having a conversation with someone, you right away know if it's a match for what you've been talking about. So when you're clear on your vision, opportunities find you.
Yeah. So when someone's sitting with you, it's obvious that you know what you're talking about. So it's easy for them to want to get with you and work with you and do what.
Yeah. And nobody likes wishy-washy people anyway. If someone's like, so what do you do? What's your goal for your business? And you're like, well, you don't have an answer. Nobody's going to be helping you. But if you're like, oh, you're on it, like, oh, you know what? This year I'm building the most epic blah, blah, blah for this type of person. And if you're like, people hear that and they want to help.
Yeah, no one wants to give you money if you're wishy-washy. No. You're like, well, yeah, I might be able to help you get in shape, man, over 50. I have 8 businesses,
kind of. That's right, what a lot of entrepreneurs say. Well, when you say I've got 8 businesses, that means like none of them are actually doing well.
Exactly, right. You're trying to sound cool.
Yeah.
I think we both attracted this opportunity into our lives with what we do and the energy that we put out there. And it's exciting. Let's talk about Unfair Advantage a little bit. It's such a great name because it's so easy to set people up with it. It's like, you want to know how I look the way I look? I have an unfair advantage. You want to know why Natalie Jill looks the way she looks and functions the way she does? She has an unfair advantage.
But here's the thing. You can have an unfair advantage too. Like that's what people miss with that. Like it's not, I'm just genetically blessed, which by the way, I'm not. If you look at my genetics, I've got good epigenetics, not great genetics. But the thing with an unfair advantage is anyone can have it when they have the insider scoop.
And that's what we're going to be doing is we're going to be bringing the insider scoop. We're not going to reveal too much of what that is right now because maybe we'll save that for a later day. But for me, it's the foundation. It truly is the foundation. That's why I'm excited to attach my brand to it.
Yes.
Because we've both worked hard to develop our brands and we wouldn't do something if we didn't 100% believe in it.
That's for sure true.
That's why I was excited when I knew it was going to be with you because I'm like, man, she's fully engaged in this as well because there's no way that she is going to do anything that's not building.
Which little did you all know, years ago when I did FMI, Clark basically was like, you are not good on camera to me. Now I'm fine. I'm fine, Clark, now, right? I've come a long way.
You're more than fine. And it's because you reached out to me and you said, hey, like I said earlier, Natalie Jill always is ready to pay a coach to help her get better. Always. She called me up. I said, you don't need me. And I think I offended you even because I'm like, you don't need me as a coach. I didn't want to take your money because I knew you had what it took. All you need to do is practice, get in front of the camera and speak. That's all it really is. I could sit there and say, well, try this and do that. But I knew you well enough at the point I saw your energy. I'm like, this girl's got it, man.
But you don't get better without coaches. And so I always encourage people and always hire the best of the best. Like I've never understood when people hire a coach that's like mediocre at the business, like go to the best. Why, if that's the shortcut.
Because they want to save money, right?
Like if you're a dude and you want to get fit and you're in your 40s or 50s, like why are you not going to Clark? That's just stupid. Like seriously, does your trainer look like Clark? If not, go to Clark.
That's the goal, right? And that's why I'm out there putting in so much work,
Yeah.
because we're never going to ask any of our people to do anything that we haven't done
No.
ourselves already or currently doing.
No, I've invested a lot of time, a lot of money into ideal coaches I've never regretted.
Yeah, I've spent a lot this year on coaches as well, and it pays off.
It does.
But you have to do what you're being told.
For sure. Yeah, you have to be you have to be coachable.
Right.
If you're not like if you go to you to train, for instance, and you're going to tell you why that won't work for them, that's not going to that is a waste of your money then.
I had a guy two guys pay me a whole lot of money to get my coaching, and I told them what I needed them to do. First check-in, they didn't do it. And I'm like, these guys are not going to follow through.
No.
And basically, they just gave me a big chunk of money and did nothing.
That was the lesson they had to learn. Now, you got to charge them more. That wasn't enough to make the pain.
Well, and that's what I did. And that was hard for me to do. So let's talk about limiting beliefs.
I have a pain in the ass fee, by the way.
Yeah?
Yeah, if someone's going to be a pain in the ass, I tell them I'm charging them more.
Well, yeah, and if they pay it, it's worth
yeah, then it's worth it.
It's worth it then. I do that as well, too. I try to price myself out of the market because I don't really want to do it. And if they pay the fee, then I'll do it. And I'm going to give them the great result because I've done it so many times.
That's right.
And you would never take advantage of anyone. I would never take advantage of anyone, nor would we take advantage of ourselves. That's the reason we charge a fee that is worthy. And there are people out there that can pay it. And the old saying is people who pay attention.
Yes. And I also want to add to that people find money to pay for what they want, regardless of costs. Always.
I say this all the time. Guys turn down my coaching program, or they turn down your coaching program. And you can tell them, listen, if a brand new Porsche pulled up in your driveway and someone was offering it to you for half the sticker price, you would find the money for that.
Yeah.
I found the money to buy my house. I didn't have it.
Yeah.
The house happened to show up in my life.
Yeah,
I always looked at it and thought, I figured it out. I found it. And that's the thing that frustrates me with people who come to me and say all of the things that lead me to believe they're ready to make a decision and take action. They have this vision of how they want to look, but they don't take action by separating themselves from money, but they'll go waste it somewhere else.
All the time. You got to invest in yourself to make a change.
Absolutely. So we are in a later stage of life, right? You're 51, I'm 59. And I love the fact that you're not afraid to say your age. Why did you transition into that? Is it because you're in the business of helping women through midlife?
I like to tell the truth. I've never been the one to hide my truth. Like I've always shared whatever. Like I was the one saying in 2007, I'm broke and losing my house. I wasn't doing it as I'm broke and I'm losing my house and I'm a loser. Like that was not, it was like, I'm becoming the type of person who's figuring this out. Because part of that is your declaration and being real. So when people are authentic online, like you got to still pay attention to the energy of it. Like authentic doomsday, no one really cares or wants to hear. But people like hero's journeys. They want to hear what you're building, what you're creating, what you're doing. The reason I share so much about my age is because I was so tired of everyone typecasting what that's supposed to look like. 40s, 50s, like there was always this typecast of like, oh, it's all downhill. So I want to say that it's not. And when someone says to me, you don't look your age, I'm always like, well, what's it supposed to look like? Because to me, this is my age. Like, what's it supposed to look like then? And quite honestly, I'm not trying to look 30. This is 51 to me. And I feel good for 51.
Another thing that frustrates me kind of around what you just said is when someone says, you look good for your age.
Yeah.
I'm like, do you realize that that's not like really a compliment?
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. It's like if there was a heavy girl and I said, oh, you're pretty for a heavy girl.
Right.
It's like, no, she's just pretty.
No,
that's
exactly.
it.
And I don't care. I don't even want people to say you look 30 or 40 because that doesn't, to me, I'm like, that doesn't even make sense to me. Like I like that I'm 51. I feel good for 51. My biological age, according to my blood work and my test, is younger than that. And I'm happy with that. My goal is to thrive for many more years. It's not to truly age backwards. You know, my last book was called Aging in Reverse, and I kind of regret that title because I really don't want to age in reverse. I just want to really age well.
Yeah, and well, you're obviously doing it. So let's kind of get off of this a little bit because we talk about the same thing over and over again. You might get tired of talking about, I know you don't, but is there anything that people don't know about you that's interesting, or is there anything that you want to share that might be off the beaten path that could be something that people might get?
So I think probably the sales thing people might not know about me. They think, oh, that I built this big fitness business because of being on magazine covers. And it's really quite the opposite. The reason I built a big business is my knowledge of sales. So maybe that's a boring topic, but that really is. If you look behind any big brand, any business, the success is their business savvy, not because they looked a certain way or because they have some interesting, unique nutrition plan. That's not what grows somebody. It's always their business mind. So to me, what you don't know about me is I love teaching and talking about sales. I love working with clients on messaging. Like that's my favorite type of client to work with. I don't personally take fat loss clients anymore. I've moved off of that. I've got programs that address it. I really love teaching that next level for their life, like purpose, goal achievement, business, all of that I love doing.
So what are the things that you struggle with? Because people will look at you, women especially, and go, oh my God, she's perfect. She doesn't have any, you revealed some of it, the injuries and things like that, but let's kind of bring you to the level of.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm just like everybody else. I still have the thoughts. I mean, I definitely I look in you and I were filming earlier and we're both like, oh, we both see lines on our forehead, must move in shade. Like we still have the thoughts. I just don't let them take me down. That's the difference. So it's not that I don't think, things are kind of gravity's kicking in or, I get nitpicky about how I appear. I get nitpicky about what I've accomplished. Like I'm still human. We're all human. I have those. The difference is how long do I stay in those thoughts versus shifting into something else?
That's what I do. So I refer to it as I give myself a finite amount of time to be a bitch ass dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, if I wake up on the wrong side of the bed, or if I have something that comes up in my life that I'm struggling with, it's 9 a.m. I'm like, okay, Clark, you have till 9:30.
Right. That's good.
Do all your little pity party and all that, get done with it. And then I transition at that point into like the Clark that is out there getting busy living and taking advantage of.
Like I think about when we made the joke about our lines, we were like, oh, we both got lines. Let's move into the shade. And we kept filming. The difference is some people are like, oh, I don't like the way I look and now I'm not going to film. There's a difference, right? We just kind of joke about it and move on. So that's the whole thing. How fast do you shift? How fast? I definitely have my moments. I am definitely don't wake up every day going, I'm amazing. That's not what happens. I always am hard on myself. I've just really learned to shift faster.
Shift is a big word, right? Tony Robbins kind of brought that into our vernacular and shift. And you could literally like shift like that.
You can.
And that's what he does. If you use this, and the reason clapping is so effective is because there's more nerve endings in your hand than anywhere else in your body. And when you clap like that, it wakens your body up.
Yeah, that's good.
So it's really a great tool to use if you are feeling a little bit down. Now, we're certainly not talking about depression or anything like that because that's a completely different topic. And we don't want anyone to feel like, oh, you don't understand. We understand. I've been depressed. Have you ever been depressed before?
I was in 2007 for 4 months. I was like, didn't want to get out of bed. I remember how awful that was. I didn't want to live. I had a daughter and that's why I showed up and I was here, but that was the most depressed I've ever been. My whole world had fallen apart. So I understand that place, but I will tell you, I did get out of it because of a decision. So I'm not saying that that's a superior way. And of course I believe in therapy and help and all the things, but you still can also make a decision that you want to get better. Because even going to therapy or getting help is a decision.
So let's talk about some of those steps when we come back from this break. When was the last time you had blood work done? Now I'm specifically talking to men because I know most women are going to take care of their health, but men for some reason don't want to go to the doctor. And the guys that I talk to in my coaching program typically haven't had their blood work done in a while. Let me tell you something. It's so important to understand what's going on in your blood. That's the only thing that can tell you where you're lacking in nutrients, what might be happening in your life that will never be figured out otherwise. So this is the reason I've created a relationship with Merrick Health. Now, what we're going to do when you click on the link in the show notes is get you set up to have your blood work done. It's as simple as filling out a form and then going off to a LabCorp or one of the places that we would send you in your town, local to you. Takes you a few minutes. Listen, schedule it into your life because it's that important. I have a discount code for you. It's Clark. Just put that into the thing. You're going to save some money and you're going to go get your blood work done. We're going to find out what's going on in your life. And hopefully there's nothing to be concerned about, but you won't know until you get it done. So fill out the form, book it, and make it happen. Okay, so what are some of the steps that you've gone through? So if someone's out there right now and they're listening and they're mildly depressed and they don't know how to get out, what are some of I have some very simple things that I tell people to do, but I want to hear.
Well, number one, decide that you want something different. Like that is a decision. Just even if you don't know how.
So that applies to everything in life.
Just
You're
literally
free.
like I decide that I don't want to be depressed anymore. Like just make that. I'm not saying go fix it today or even how to fix it, but just make a decision that you even want that, because some people are deciding to stay depressed.
Right, because that could mean I'm deciding not to be depressed, so you go get a counselor, you go get medication,
the how doesn't
you go,
matter, you have to decide first, I don't want to be this person. And I'll say that with any disorder or any setback or anything going on, you have to decide first you don't want that. Like if you're broke and you're listening and you're like, you got to decide, I don't want to be broke anymore. Or decide, I don't want to be overweight anymore. Like decide that first. That's the number one, because I find that is missing from people. They say they complain, but they don't tell you what they're deciding. They want something different. So that's number one. Then I want you to actually visualize for yourself what would be possible. Like not how, I didn't say how. What do you actually want? Like get yourself in the mindset of something else better. Like what if I had money coming in? What if I was fit? What if I had these friends? Or what if I was in a happy marriage? Like, what is that vision? Like, put yourself in there, because when you actually visualize and think about things, your body doesn't know the difference between it reality and it really happening or you visualizing it.
Well, we did that today with the
Yes, and we know this from workouts too. Like, there's countless studies of people that are injured and they will visualize going through their run or going through their motions, and they still are staying strong and not losing ability, but from their visualization. Visualization is so huge. So think through, like, not the how, because we get interrupted with the how. Like, oh, but I can't. No, just visualize if anything was possible, what would that be? And then the actions start as a layer after decision and vision. And your actions can be as simple as, I'm just going to get outside today. Just going to add more water. I'm just going to add one meal that's actually good for me. I mean, like, they don't have to be complicated actions.
Not at all. And that's what I'll pick up there. Some of the simple things that I do, I tell people just take a shower, because when you're depressed, you don't take a shower. When you're depressed, you don't shave your face.
Yeah, and women put makeup on,
Yeah, so I tell guys, go shave your face, take a shower, maybe go put gas in your car, maybe get your car washed, clean it out on the inside.
Yeah.
These little action steps, one little thing at a time, because those are the things that start feeling heavy, right? You go into your car, it's all a mess. You're like, oh my God, this car, I hate it. And you're just adding all of these negative things to the fact that you already don't feel good.
I'm not a fan of numbing out with things. And I really think that that's something that needs to be addressed with a lot of people. Like I will never be the one that's okay with, I just have a glass of wine to unwind every day. Or I just like that. When you're doing stuff like that, you are creating an addiction, whether it's a physical addiction or a mental addiction. We shouldn't have to need anything in our lives. We shouldn't have to need caffeine to wake up. We shouldn't have to need wine to numb out. We shouldn't have. So really looking, if you are depressed, if you are struggling with things, like, do you have those crutches in your life? Because those things don't help.
Yeah, wine doesn't help you sleep. You might pass out, but you're not having a restful sleep where you're going through the sleep cycles and waking up refreshed and ready to go. So you're just adding insult to injury.
Yeah, I choose personally, I don't drink at all. Anyone that knows me, they made a one point see me have like a half a glass of wine at some point in my life, but I'm not a drinker. And I choose at this point in my life just not to have it at all. I just don't see any benefit to it other than it creates a crutch for something.
Yeah, nothing good ever comes out of it. Nothing good ever comes out of it.
us.
I've actually stopped, and I'll be honest and just fully transparent here. Through COVID, like everybody else, I'm like, yeah, I'll have a little drink. And then I was having some problems in my marriage, and I'm just like, screw it, man. And I just really started drinking a lot. And people who knew me were like looking at me like, what's up
happening?
with Clark? What's going on? I was still able to maintain my physique, my life, and all of that. But in the background and in my mind, I knew that I was an imposter. I knew I wasn't the guy who decided to quit drinking years ago because I didn't want to lie to my kids.
Right. I
you
get
know?
it.
So it just felt uncomfortable for me to be living that way. I'm not saying I would never have another glass of wine again, but it's certainly something that is not a crutch, because I 100% believe
And
you.
I also think like anything we're putting in our bodies, I think of it as it's either healing us and helping us, or it's hurting us. And to me, there's nothing about that that's healing us and helping us.
Well, it's just a poison, right? It's a neurotoxin that gets in your brain and just goes around and scrambles it up and creates that euphoric feeling that's fun for a minute.
Yep.
That over time it gets worse and worse and worse, and it never ends up being something.
That's the number one question I've always gotten on every one of my meal plans. Can I still drink? Yes, you can. I just don't recommend it.
People, so I'm going to share a little bit of a frustration. When that's the first thing people ask me, those are the people I don't want to work with.
Yeah.
Like, when's my cheat day? I'm like, are you really asking me that?
Yeah,
The first freaking question you have is when you can start doing the exact thing that you got to the place where you're at right now. Let's end this conversation because I'm not your coach.
No.
I'm going to hurt your feelings.
No, and I don't do that either, that whole cheat day thing. If I want something, I have it. It's not like a whole cheat day situation.
Well, man. So what else? What else are you excited about in life?
Let's see. I'm excited about my daughter and her music.
I wanted to bring that up,
very
but
talented daughter who released her first EP. So Penelope Grace, give her a little shout out.
Yeah.
You can find her music on Spotify and all the places. So I'm excited about her and what she's creating there. And even though I have nothing to do with her singing, I can't sing at all. I don't know anything about the music industry. I can't take any credit for any singing. What I am proud of is that I created her and I love watching her drive and her excitement and how talented she is and watching her grow. So that gives me the most pleasure of anything in my life right now is watching her succeed at that.
Isn't it neat to watch your kids just blossom in we're going to bring up her site right now so people can take a peek at her and see what she's doing. But you have every right to be so proud of this young lady because she's so well-spoken. She's such, I'll refer to her as an old soul. She's smart beyond her years.
She is.
And yeah, we're pulling it up here.
Penelope Grace.
Penelope
Cry to
Grace.
the Angels.
Yeah.
And she did this herself. Like she found a producer herself. She marketed it herself. She got the downloads herself. She did all of it herself. And I was like, I had nothing to do with it. And that was fun for me to watch because she's almost 16. To see her have that drive and create that herself was a really proud mom moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I was saying, watching your kids, like you're very accomplished in life. And when I watch my kids play sports, I would just get so much more nervous for them than I would ever do anything for myself,
for sure.
right? Because you're so vested
for sure.
in their success. And yeah, look at that right there.
Her visuals, her photo shoots, all the things.
Yeah. So everyone go follow Penelope Grace on Spotify.
I feel like one of her songs has over 11,000 streams, which is
really
super cool to me.
Yeah. And we were all so impressed that I said, you know what? Jim actually said it, and I was thinking it the whole time. Let's get this young lady up in the chair and talk about your career. And you are amazing, first and foremost.
Thank you so much for having me on. And thank you for letting me talk.
No, of course, man. You deserve to be heard. That's the reason you're sitting in that chair. I'm not going to put anyone in that chair that doesn't have something that needs to be said. And for such a young person, we can see where, obviously you didn't get the singing from your mom, but you got confidence, you got grace, you got style, you got all sorts of stuff. But we're talking about you right now. So
what do you want to know?
I want to know like where all this comes from. Where does this music, because you truly are talented. I'm not going to sit here and say something that's not true.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Honestly.
I'm flattered, but honestly, it's from God, first of all. I gave talent to me, but this creativity really stems from things that I've gone through and just the person that I am, even through the loneliness and through the just whatever seasons of life. My creativity flows from just life. And I can get inspired by a fly on the wall, or I can get inspired by the beach, or really anything. Like I carry a notebook with me everywhere, and it's like my song notebook, and I just write and I draw. And I mean, I take a lot of inspiration from poetry as well. Like I read poetry, and I kind of take a lot of inspiration from that. But I don't know, I always say that my artistry is just truly and authentically like my mind. And there's really no other way of putting it except for just saying that it's just my mind.
I think some of the greatest music just comes from that deep, dark place that
Yeah.
nobody knows about. But people are going to say, but you're only 16 years old, man. How much life have you lived? Like, what could you really talk about?
It's like you'd be surprised.
Well, I heard it. Like, literally, I was just sitting here involved, really is the best word that I can come up with, involved in what you're doing, because you have a very eclectic style, for one.
Thank you.
It's not just one path. You're not like this just pop singer. You're the furthest thing from that. And I think you take that as a compliment, because you're
Yes.
like, exactly, I don't want to be that.
Yeah, I always say, like, I don't want to be the next whoever. Like, I don't want to be the next Taylor Swift or the next Olivia Rodrigo or the next Billie Eilish, because they're already them. Like, what's the point in becoming the next this when you can just be you? I think that's something that I want to like get across to the world, because there's so many artists out there who are so unheard of, and because like I don't know how to put it. I think I was telling you earlier, like record labels don't sign anyone anymore because they're like, oh, well, you need to already have something gone viral. You need to have this and that. But there's so many artists out there who are actually just so amazing within themselves that never get heard because of it. And, you know, there's also so many artists who try being the next great thing and it doesn't work out for them because they're just trying to be the next great thing. It's like, just be yourself. Like, I went through a thing where I was like trying to be the next Billie Eilish. I cut my hair super short and I wore baggy clothes constantly, and I was wearing Jordans, and like that was who she was a while ago, but I was trying to be that because I thought people would like that. I thought people would like to be the next Billie Eilish, but then when I realized there's already a Billie Eilish, I can just be me. That actually projected better, just to be myself. You know what I mean?
It's working out for you, man. What's your biggest frustration as an artist? Like, you're truly an artist. Like, a lot of people can get up and sing and do things like that, but I can see the fact that you have a gift, and you've clearly given the, you know, goodness to God for that gift, and that's super cool. But like, what's your biggest frustration right now in trying to be heard and be seen?
I think, you know, I don't want to say like it's all about fame, because it's not. Like, my end goal isn't to be rich and famous. Like, that's not where I'm trying to get. But I think my biggest frustration is people not like really just understanding art and understanding that, like, I don't even know how to put it. There's just so many frustrations that come with being an underground artist, is, you know, not getting the recognition of being heard because you're not famous and successful already on your own. And the frustration of people not taking a chance on you because you're underground. Like, that's how it used to be. Like, every artist, even Queen, even Kurt Cobain, like, they all started out underground, not heard of. And they became who they were because someone took the time to invest in them, to invest in their art, to invest in their individuality. And now it's, if you're not blending in with the group, no one's going to take a chance on you. And that's my biggest frustration. And my biggest frustration is people won't take a chance on me because of my individuality as an artist and because of my uniqueness as an artist. And because I think every artist is unique. Like, I think that no matter how hard they're trying to be someone else, or they come off whatever, like, they're always going to have a uniqueness to them, always, even if they're not showing it immediately. And that's the biggest frustration, is people not taking a chance on you because you're unique and because you're by yourself.
So you need to remind yourself in that frustration that Queen and these other artists, Cobain, it took a long time for someone to be vested into them, right? They had the same frustration. They weren't just barely coming up on 16 when someone said, hey, we're going to invest time, money, energy, connections into you. So it is a big risk.
Right.
And then all you can do as an artist is continue to stay on your path and be focused and create, because you had said it very clearly over there when you were sitting in the chair. The version that I am now will not be the version that I am in the next season of my life.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Like, the girl who I was when I was 13, which to many people was like, that was you only a few years. Like, okay, I'm not who I was when I was 13. I'm not who I was when I was 14. And I'm sure not going to be who I am right now in a year. I will always be changing. But that's why I believe, like, everything happens at the right timing. And I was telling you earlier, if I had made and released the music that I wanted to make and release when I was 13, I would not be happy. So I'm glad that I got the privilege to write and be able to get in the studio when I did, because I'm happy with those things now. Even though it's been a year since I made them, I'm actually happy that that was released rather than what I wanted to be released when I was 12 and 13. And that's why, you know, like I said, everything happens at the right timing. That's why I'm trusting God too, because like what I want right now is I'll get it hopefully, but that'll come at the right time when it deserves to come to me at the right time. And I'm also constantly evolving as an artist as well. I mean, as an artist, like I'm me, so just whatever I'm evolving is like kind of like my artistry, but my artistry about 7 months ago is not where my artistry is now. Like it's just constantly evolving.
When do you write your best stuff? When you're not feeling your best, or like
Honestly,
where does your inspiration?
My inspiration, like if you want to talk about like music artist inspirations, like Kurt Cobain, 100% is like my biggest inspiration because he was so authentic and he just wrote anything, whatever. And I mean, there's his documentary that's out that's like amazing, and it kind of shows like his journals, and he just would write and draw things, and then it would stem a whole song. And I'm like, it's just amazing. So my artistry is kind of like that. Like it just comes from whatever. My song Swirls actually stemmed from, I told you it was originally about like night terrors and stuff, but it's because I would always be drawing these swirls that I would get in the night terror. So I would be drawing these swirls in a notebook, and then it stemmed my song Swirls. And then my song Angel Hair, although it has a whole meaning about being scared of your own mind, it actually, that entire song stemmed from drawing a moon in my notebook. So it could just come out of really random things. But I'm most inspired, I would say, when I'm by myself. Like, as much as I love my friends and being around my friends, like, I've always been able to write my best and get my best ideas when I'm just isolated, like just really alone with myself. And although that can look like weeks of me not doing anything, it can just come at a random time. Like this past few months, I've really been by myself and alone, just kind of like in my room and not really doing anything. And had really major writer's block. Like I was not inspired. And then just randomly one night, I just got a whole load of ideas, like crazy ideas just came from everywhere. And it was just so random. But then I really got to like sit in that. And then up to now, this has been like a week of me just like having these ideas of what I want to do in the future and where I want to go and what I want to write.
So last question. If I was Kurt Cobain sitting in this chair right here, right now, besides freaking out and losing your mind, what would you ask him?
Oh, that's a hard question. I would just probably ask, what do you, I don't even know what I would ask. I would just be like, oh my God, hi. I would maybe just ask him like, what message do you put into your art? Like what message do you input? But I know that every song of his was kind of different, but like what message are you portraying? What message do you want to put across? How do you want, or I think this would be better. How do you want people to feel when listening to your music?
So let me ask you that in closing.
I want them to feel heard, and I want them to feel comforted. I know so many artists who have quite literally saved my life through their art. So seeing that when people listen to my music and they feel something, feel anything, and that could be more sad, more happy, or comforted, it's a beautiful feeling. So knowing that my music could help someone out there is just so beautiful, because there's so many songs that have saved my life over and over again just because they made me feel something rather than numbing myself out to the world and doing something I might regret, you know? So I think whatever I can make someone feel through my own art is just so beautiful.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, you succeeded with me.
Thank you. Thank you
And
for having
that's
me
all
on.
you can do is one person at a time that hears your beautiful voice and the way you put it together. You've done it to me, so you've succeeded. You are a success.
Thank you. So are you.
There you go. All right. I don't even know what to say after that. So go follow this young lady. You will absolutely be happy that you did.
Thank you so much.
Give me your Instagram again, please.
My Instagram is Penelope Grace, and then on TikTok it is Blue Eyed Boar, which sounds questionable, but it's a lyric for my song. So
Go follow her today, please. That's it. Thank you for being here.
Hands wrapped around my mind, left dizzy, I can't see, swirls in my eyes, how can you find me?
All right. So we're going to end this up here right now with having everyone follow your social medias. Where can they get you
You
at?
can find me at Natalie Jill Fit.
Okay. What about TikTok? You on TikTok?
All of them are Natalie Jill Fit.
All of them
on
Natalie
all
Jill.
of them, except for YouTube, long stories, Natalie Jill Fitness, Natalie Jill Fit, and then my podcast is called Midlife Conversations.
Yeah. So before we end, let's go into that a little bit. What could people learn from that? Why should they go follow you there if a woman is struggling right now?
Midlife Conversations is pretty cool. I do like a deep dive topic, everything that's related to midlife. I've had guests on hormones. I have guests on gut health, on divorce, on repairing your marriage, on raising teens, on becoming empty nesters, just all the topics that we deal with in midlife. I highlight the best of the best on that podcast.
Yeah, I need to go check that out myself. And because men could listen to it as well.
Yes, absolutely. It's for both.
Right. Sometimes we feel like we're not allowed. It's like, oh, that's a woman's
Clark
thing.
was
right
actually
there.
on an episode when I first flipped it over to Midlife Conversations.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to be on it again because you bring so much value to so many people and you bring value to my life. I appreciate when you challenge me with just a comment, just a suggestion or whatever it is, because I know you have my best interest in mind. And I value your friendship. And I'm so excited about what we're going to be doing together here with Unfair Advantage. The fact that we get to work with Russell
it's
Brunson.
So fun. Yes, amazing.
I mean, how crazy is that,
Super
right?
cool.
It's a little bit kind of unnerving that we're going to go do what he has perfected in front of him watching us. You know what I mean?
I wasn't nervous till you just said that. Clark. Thanks.
I was thinking about that the other day, but we're going to have so much fun because
be great.
all we're doing is plugging into
I
a
gotta
system.
be talking about workouts in front of the workout king here, and then doing my sales stuff in front of the sales king. Yeah, thanks, Clark. Now a new fear unlocked.
Well, you don't lack any confidence at all because you are so positive about what you're capable of because you've walked through so much in life and so many women can benefit from following you. So absolutely go follow Natalie Jill. I promise you, you will not be wasting any of your time because every word that comes out of this woman's mouth is meant to help you get better. It's meant to help you look at yourself and to decide and have some vision for your life and take action.
And I do a lot of comedy, by the way. So I love to make fun of some of the aging myths. So if you follow my social, you'll see a lot of comedy there too.
Yeah, it is very entertaining. We did some stuff today and man, we nailed it. We knocked it out of the park. And without Penelope, we wouldn't have been able to get a lot of it for sure. So having the right team, having the right crew around you. But what is the Unfair Advantage site is up. I know Brooks.
Official Unfair Advantage.
Okay, so go follow that Official Unfair Advantage on Instagram, and you'll see some of what we were talking about. And we're going to be launching this program here real soon with some amazing people. And we're here, really honestly, the goal for all of this is to give you the unfair advantage. So that is it for today. As always, make it a great day and get busy living.